Hello and welcome to my series, Diary of a Wimpy Adult, aka me, overcoming everyday fears.
Hi, I'm Heidi Rose and I'm scared of the most mundane things. We're talking driving, swimming, riding a bike, going to the gym, a well-trodden hike. The list honestly goes on. I'm 28 and I've decided to change the narrative because without fear is how I want to live. I'm Heidi Rose and this is the diary of a wimpy adult overcoming everyday fears.
So if you don't know who I am, hello, I'm Heidi. I'm 28, I'm currently living in Australia, but I'm originally from the UK. And I'm scared of the most silliest of things, or what I perceive to be silly, because most people are not scared of them at all. We're talking things like driving a car, walking up a hill, getting on a line bike. They scare the living daylights out of me, and quite simply, I've had enough. I've had enough of being the odd one out in the group, had enough of having to say no to things that I can't do or feel that I'm scared to do, and I want to change things. I think for a long time I thought that this is just the way I am and I'm just going to have to deal with it, but 2025 is the change that is very much needed, and I'm going to document it in this series. So I will start with from the beginning with a little bit about me and what has kind of led me to this point. So from a young age, I have been very scared of, it feels like everything. I think now I'm slightly older, so in my 20s, I did a lot of work on the kind of mental challenges. So things like public speaking, theatre. I was quite scared of getting back on stage, which I used to do when I was younger, but I did some work on trying to get better at that. I mean, being vulnerable, starting this YouTube, all what I'm going to term mental, I've done a lot of work up until now. But the physical side of things, so anything where my brain is kind of telling my body to do something, there is a massive disconnect. So there's some kind of lack of trust between my brain and my body. So for example, when I've gone on hikes with friends, so I've attempted Snowdon, I did a big hike last year with some friends. I did Seven Sisters, which is considered not a hard walk, I don't think. It's quite steep, but it's not necessarily rugged terrain or rocks or anything like that. On those activities, I will either pause and have a mild panic attack where my brain shuts off and my body will not move any further, or my body will move but my head is just filled with intrusive thoughts like you're going to fall, you're going to put a foot wrong, this hill is too steep, look down there, that's where you could be falling. So it's kind of, I do it and then it's plagued by thoughts. So there's how that kind of works. So when I'm doing the physical activity, to use hiking as an example, I either go into panic mode where my body doesn't work, or my body works but my brain is kind of like beating itself up. So it's anything kind of physical where my brain has to trust that my body does the right thing. So even things like driving a car, where you're obviously thinking about the road and where you need to go, but your body needs to steer you that way. There's swimming. I don't know how to swim. I'm really bad around water. There's things around heights like the hiking, but other kind of activities that I can't do. There's some mental challenges in there which I'm going to document, so it's not going to be all kind of physical related. It's going to be some mental ones as well, because obviously I'm not confident in everything. But yeah, it's mainly physical stuff. And from teenage years to now, I have definitely noticed when I'm in a group situation or with friends, I am really struggling and I'm like the odd one out, because people can just do it like that. It's just second nature to them, especially with things like driving a car. Like people just jump in a car, drive somewhere, whereas I am just plagued with worry and intrusive thoughts and quite simply irrational things, because these are things that people do on the everyday and they're absolutely fine, and I would be fine. My body is so capable and able to do those things. It's my brain that is the stopper. So that's the kind of background of where we are up until now. And I think what's motivated me to do this series is last year I had kind of two main events. So firstly, I booked a skiing trip, and I was very anxious about it because I had skiing lessons a while back and I freaked out, had a panic attack, and I had to go home. This was at like an indoor skiing centre, but I was like, no, I'm older now, I can overcome these things. I've overcome all of these mental challenges, so we're going to start overcoming the physical. And we went on the ski holiday and I had a group lesson with my friends, and it was too fast, too hard. Like with me, you have to take things very slowly and gently and be very patient with me because I am a bit of a wimp, as this title suggests. I don't want to talk down on myself, but I probably am in that category of being a bit of a wimp. Yeah, so we booked this group lesson. It was too hard, too fast, went down a slope too quickly. Previously, I'd said to the instructor, can you do the slope with me? I think this is too much. And they said, no, it's fine, just go down, because most people would be fine. But my brain was going, no, not fine. Obviously fell because my brain was too plagued with worry and was not thinking about what I was doing with my body. And it really spooked me. And I spent the rest of the skiing holiday just watching everyone from the slopes, which was obviously great. I had such a great time that holiday. It was with my best friends. We had so much fun, but it really did trigger this downward spiral of insecurities bubbling up and just coming in my head and constantly just telling me that I can't do things and I'm not worthy, and just not very nice things really, which I don't like doing, and I always try and be kind to myself, but it was kind of like I couldn't stop it. And then on the other hand, I signed up to do a half marathon with my best friend, and I was so scared. I signed up and I was like, yeah, let's do it, because I kind of done that for my whole 20s with the kind of mental challenges. I just plonk myself in the deep end and then deal with it, and I seemed to be okay. But I signed up to the half marathon, and then I went for like my first couple of training runs, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, I can't do this. I'm so embarrassed. People have paid money, like, because I was doing it for charity, which is obviously like amazing, and that kept me going through. But I think physically I did not trust my body to put me through those 13.1 miles, I think it is, yeah. So I had a massive freak out, and then I pushed through, and I actually like recorded like voice notes to myself saying like, Heidi, you can do this, like you've got this. And I pushed through and I did the half marathon. And not only did I do it once, like I then, because I was quite ill that day that I did it by myself a couple of weeks later, because I wanted to kind of redo the experience because I was pretty ill and there's loads of stuff going on. So I did it twice, and I was like, wow, Heidi, like you thought you could never do that, and you've just done it twice. So that, on the other hand of the skiing incident, kind of was like, I can do this. I know I have the power within me to change this. So I've decided this year is the right time. We're in January 2025, and I've given myself a couple of months to overcome these fears. There's a whole list of them. What I thought would be best to try and change these things is exposure therapy. So trying out the things and realising that they're not as awful as you thought they were going to be in your head, and you've got to just keep doing things to prove to yourself that you can do these things. So this journey is going to be hard, it's going to be tough, because we're doing a lot of things that I really don't like doing and I really avoid or try not to do, but I think it's time. For a long time, I felt like this is just the way I am. We're in your late 20s. As we know, it's easier to learn things as a child because you have less fear, you know, you're not really like rationalising what's at stake. And I kind of just put it down to that. I was like, look, I didn't do these things as a child, so I'm never going to be able to do these things. I'm never going to feel confident doing these things. So just, you know, accept it. But no, I'm not going to accept it. I think we all have the power within us to change things if we really want to change things, and I'm really, really determined to change this. It has stopped me doing so many things. I've had to say no to things. I've had to change plans with friends because I couldn't do the thing that we were going to do, which they would have found relatively easy. I just feel like it's such a blocker in my life, and I'm just kind of done with that. I'm like, let's try and change them at least. I'm not saying that they're all going to change and I'm going to become this super confident person with physical activities. I don't know if that will ever happen. Hopefully it will. As I say, we have power to change things, but I just want to be good enough that I'm not so scared and plagued by worries of doing kind of what people consider everyday things. So what you can expect from this series, to be honest, I'm not really sure because it's really hard to plan. Some things are going to be probably overcome in 1 or 2 days. It's going to be me doing an activity and putting myself out there and figuring out how I kind of overcome them, and some of them are going to be months. So I don't know when these videos are going to come out, don't know how regular, but I know that this is something that I'm really, really determined to work on, and I really hope you'll join me on the journey. And who knows, maybe it will help others, because just because I feel like I'm a bit of an anomaly in my friendship group doesn't mean there's others that don't feel the same, or they might have fears that they consider to be kind of everyday. I don't want to call them silly because I don't want to me they're massive and they're not silly. I don't think any fear is silly, but maybe what some people would consider silly because they find it so easy. Like the vast majority of people find what I find really scary just really easy. So maybe there's a few people out there that can relate and hopefully watch my journey and know that like you can do it too. If hopefully I overcome them, I'm going to give myself faith that I will overcome at least some of my fears. So we'll end this introduction video here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hopefully you'll stick around for the journey. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I promise I'm going to be trying my absolute hardest to overcome these fears, and I really hope you can join me, because things are so much easier when you do things together and with a community. So hopefully you will join me, and let me know if there's anything you want to see in the comments. I guess like you can't give me fears, but if there's any fears that you have that you want me to talk about, or if you want me to talk about something in more detail because you can relate to it, please let me know in the comments and keep in touch. I really want to do this together, me and you. And it will just, feel so much better for me to be accomplishing these things with you. So thank you so much. Lots of love as always. And I'll see you soon for a brand new video, which I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not fear, but we started yesterday unexpectedly. I had a massive fear about something so menial. So I started filming yesterday. And hopefully the next video will be up soon because it's all in the works. I'm Heidi Rose, and it's time to not be so scared. Thanks, guys.